Hello and welcome to Duncan Digs Gardening. Another nice day. Something is very clearly wrong, but we'll enjoy it while it lasts. I wanted to give you a quick snapshot, a bit of a before and after of the Wisteria. If you watched the previous episode, you saw we were cutting back and pruning Wisteria in ready for the spring to prepare it and hopefully encourage it to produce as many flowers as possible. Well, it's now finished. Probably the main thing to say is it looks a lot worse than it is. It looks probably very bare, a bit stark. Perhaps that I've gone too far, but this is pretty much what happened last year. So it'll be fine. But the main thing is we've created that open framework. We've tried to eliminate as many crossing branches as we can. Pretty standard stuff for when you're pruning, and hopefully, fingers crossed, come the spring, we'll have a nice display. But speaking of other things that have had the chop, follow me. I've ventured into the middle of the border and attempted to get a wide shot to illustrate a couple of other things that have been pruned. So this is a weeping pear. Now, don't let the name fool you. It's ornamental only. You should never eat the actual fruits. Think of it like a crabapple. It has lovely, long, thin, silvery green, glaucous leaves, and if left unchecked, I've had it down to here. The actual branches have come down to here, and in fact, when we moved into the house about 11 years ago, this was down to the floor and running across the floor because obviously it hadn't been kept up. So it's had a pretty severe chop. In years gone by, we've actually pollarded the tree and it's recovered fine, so it can take quite a lot. It doesn't produce a lot of blossom or fruit, but on the odd occasion it has. It's very nice. It's little white, delicate white flowers, and the fruits are about the size of a kind of a golf ball at the most. In contrast, this chap here is an Acer, a japonica. It's about the same age as the weeping pear, as far as we know. Again, it was here when we moved in. Now, Acers can't stand two things mostly: wind and pruning. They don't mind a little of both. In this case, we tend to always get. There's nothing much I can do about the wind, and we always tend to get tiny brown edges to all of the leaves just because of the wind damage. It's quite common in Acers. They're also quite slow growing. And last year we went too far with the pruning, and it was absolutely covered in black beetle and black fly. They were clearly attracted to all of the open wounds that we created and the sap that undoubtedly came out, and they were able to lay their eggs, and it was an infestation at one point, and I feared the worst, to be honest, that we might lose the tree. However, it did recover. I wouldn't say it got back to looking normal until at least July, which for an Acer is quite a long time. So this time round, we've been quite careful just to give it a bit of a haircut more than anything else. So try and remember that about Acers, and this is me learning as much as it is anybody else. They don't like a lot of high winds. They like to be sheltered. And they also don't like to be interfered with too much. They don't like too hard pruning. But other than that, they should both recover and do quite well this year. For those of you who saw the last episode, you will have noted I was trying to create a mini woodland area. Unfortunately, Bambi and Thumper were not available for this scene, most notably because they like to eat bulbs, and that's not what we want. I have, however, added to it today with some Primulas. Primulas and their cousins Primroses are fantastic for shady areas. They do need a bit of sun, dapple shade, but they should be fine here. They come back year after year, and they always perform really, really well, and you pretty much don't need to do anything with them. You don't need to chop them back, you don't need to necessarily feed them. They'll just keep on performing year after year. The ones I've bought, admittedly, are all in flower straight away. So it's quite useful to have that instant snap of colour that you might want to add to an otherwise dreary, dark corner of your garden. But I thought the purple will contrast quite nicely with the daffodils and pick out the yellow at the centre of this one. This is Starflame Violet, and this other one here is called Lilac Lace. So yeah, very nicely contrasting colours. The hyacinths that are about to come up here as well, called Purple Sensation. So again, a little bit of colour coordination, a little bit of contrast going on, and something that you can think about for next year as well. As I say, don't need to do much with them. Stick them in, leave them, and enjoy them. So I am here in what so far is called Climber Corner. At least that's what I'm going to name it. And that's chiefly because I'm surrounded by clematis. Clematis are flowering climbers. They come in 3 types. And the main thing you need to know about the different types is when they flower and when you should prune them, if you should even prune them at all. It does depend on which type. Now, most of these are type 3, which means kind of summer, late summer flowering. And when you get to this time of year, you take them down to about 10 centimetres roughly to encourage new growth in the new season. So we've got here Rouge Cardinal, lovely red colour. We've got a multi-blue clematis. We've got Princess Diana, and we've got the Duchess of Cornwall, which I'll admit is slightly unfortunate timing to be featured in this video, but we'll crack on nonetheless. So the thing to remember about clematis, they can be fairly hungry. They do need a lot of sun, and I've started off by staking a lot of these and putting in these supports as well, which is crucial. The hope being that they'll eventually latch on to this framework here and put on a nice show. As with everything, it's an experiment. We'll see how it goes over the course of the year. The other plant which I've got here, which I have not mentioned yet, is called a Solia. It's a bluebell climber, a bluebell creeper, effectively. And these are okay in shade or semi-shade. They do need a little bit of sun, but again, the hope is that they kind of intermingle with the clematis, and when the time comes, I'll very much kind of create supports here as these things grow. They have a tendency to go a bit wild if you're not careful, so I'll be keeping an eye on this one. Don't want it to swamp the clematis. Indeed, the recommendation for clematis is that they're on their own in a pot. They have the whole place to themselves. So these two in particular here are a bit of an experiment, but that's certainly not the first time I've ever said that, and it won't be the last. So let's check back as the year goes on and see how they progress. Well, another day, another experiment in the garden. This is a pair of peonies, and I thought I'd plonk a tree peony next to a bush peony and see what happens. This is in a fairly shady part of the garden. It's actually beneath the plum tree that I have. The hope is that these guys will have long finished flowering by the time the plum tree really creates a shady canopy, which it certainly won't be for at least another month or so. So they'll have the lion's share of the light, at least for now, which is the most crucial time. The one on the right is a bush peony, and you can see I've cleared the soil around it, as I think I've mentioned on previous videos. They do like to have the crown slightly exposed. That's called Duchesse de Nemours, and that's a brilliant white. And then the one on the left is a tree peony. It's actually a hybrid, and it's called Canary Brilliant. And this is a apricot orange, which is quite unusual for peonies. They tend to mostly be kind of your normal pinks, reds, whites, things like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it produces. So yeah, let's check back later in the year and check on its progress. Thought I'd give you just a quick update finally as well on the climbing rose that I tied in a few weeks back. This is doing precisely as I needed it to do, which is to start to have vertical shoots along its branches horizontally. These should hopefully, as they grow, can either then be tied in further up horizontally if they need to be, and if not, they should then carry the flowers, and that's at least the aim with this. Hence why the framework encourages horizontal growth, because these shoots will grow upwards, as all plants do, towards the light, and those are the ones that we hope will carry the flowers.